Knee rest for the wicked, is there? Jimmy, the season finishes and we're right back into it because there is loads of news to bring you lot today. Hope you're all enjoying your bank holiday Monday. I'm sure you are. After we enjoyed yesterday, despite the result, getting Champions League football, amazing. Can't wait to hear that anthem blasted out at St James's Park again next season. Excited to see who we're going to be playing and what trips we will be going on, what stadiums and players we will be coming up against. But before all that, and to make sure we are ready for that, we must be very active in this transfer window. And Newcastle want to act fast. In particular, Eddie Howe, who had an emergency, immediate transfer meeting with our chairman Yasser Al-Ramian at full time yesterday after that defeat to Everton. Once Champions League was secured, they could then go ahead and look towards this summer's window and the targets in mind, and they are going to be active and quick on that, with rumours from other reports today that there's even talks of a player's representatives being in Newcastle already today. So we'll get into that and loads more on this video. Please do drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let me know your thoughts below. And as I said in yesterday's video, just once again, now the season's finished, thanks so much for your support throughout this season. It means the world to us, and we'll look forward to bringing you some more great content this week, next week, and throughout the whole summer. We're not stopping. It's going to be a busy one, to be fair, before how busy next season will be as well, with 2 games a week. But we're buzzing for it. We can't wait for it. So let's strap ourselves in and enjoy it. And what did Eddie Howe have to say then with Yasser Al-Ramian in that transfer summit yesterday? I would love to have been a fly on the wall in that meeting. It would have been great to have an inside scoop on that one. But what he said in the presser yesterday after full time, he was strong on the subject. He was on about mainly acting fast and going for it. You know, he did drop the odd little thing in about PSR and stuff. Of course he's going to do that, because then that's going to put off with our clubs, you know, when we're going for a player, Mark Gahey again probably, in Boomo, and they think, oh, Newcastle have got 100 million off qualifying for the Champions League, which we have, but that doesn't count until next year at least. And obviously we're good PSR standing, FFP, we can't spend this summer. But if Eddie Howe comes out and goes, oh, I will haven't got fucking loads to spend, then the clubs are just going to go, oh, all right, sound 80 million for a Boomo then. Do you know what I mean? And like last summer, 70 million for Gahey. We're not going to go out and be abrasive and bold and be like, oh, I splashing the cash this summer, like, blowing it. So we're not going to do that. There's even links again to low moves today. Jack Grealish's name doesn't go away after he wasn't even involved in Man City's squad to Fulham, wasn't even on the bench. That shows where his future lies, and certainly not Manchester. So unless he's going to go to Man United, that'll be funny. But he's linked with Newcastle United once more on a loan deal. There's loads to get into. Let's focus on Eddie Howe's meeting first of all with Yasser yesterday, our chairman, at full time. So he's had that meeting. They've got the targets now. It's all signed and secure. You know, Champions League football, right? This is the name of players I want. These are the options. These are the ones that are going to take us to that next level. Brilliant stuff. And I mentioned acting fast, so we'll talk about Eddie Howe's press conference in a minute on that. And we must, because remember, there's 2 transfer windows this summer. There's one in just a few days' time, 1st of June. There is a transfer window until I think it's the 10th of June. So there's a little window where a lot of clubs are acting fast. Look at Liverpool, signing players for fun. And now both fullbacks are meant to be signing. Frimpong, the one from Bournemouth, I always forget his name. Kirkes, is it? And then Florian Wirtz as well for like 100 million. So the big clubs are acting fast. Newcastle want to be a big club as well. We have to act fast also. Like I say, it'd be great to get them in before that Club World Cup. It'd be great to get them in, plenty of time, signed, and have a bit of a holiday, look forward to the move, get back to pre-season, which Eddie Howe said was on the 7th of July, I think. And obviously we've got big pre-season plans in Asia and everything, so it'd be class to get players in before that, ideally. But it's a long window ahead. It's a good, 3 months now until the next competitive game of football. So it might seem like a while, but it'll go like that. And we'll be back talking about Premier League and Champions League very, very soon. But Eddie Howe said yesterday after the game, speed is key for us. I have reiterated that many times internally. Speed is key because we have to be dynamic. We have to be ready to conclude things very quickly because good players don't hang around for long. That's always been my thought and my message on recruitment, because you can have a period when you think you have time, but then you look around quickly and you see that time has elapsed and you missed opportunities you won't get again. Is he referring to targets in the past there that he's missed out on? That's what we will be trying, but the reality of that is it's not always in your hands, but we will do our best to do things early. So again, Eddie reiterating the fact there, acting quick, acting fast, getting players over the line as soon as possible. The power of the Champions League is huge. Yes, it is. It's a selling point for us now. It's an opportunity to sell that dream to future players that might be considering coming to us. So true. I mean, yesterday it was massive getting that Champions League. Of course it was for financial reasons, and of course it was to keep the likes of Alexander Isak at the club. but as well as attracting new big star players, because the way you can now hold negotiations with players. If today we were sitting here in 6th in the Europa League, Aston Villa, Unai Emery, they're all sending complaints to the PGML and all that, and they'll be raging because they realise this. They all know it. If you go to sit down with a player, just let's use Brian Mbeumo again for an example, and he's got loads of offers from everywhere, but you're talking between a Champions League club and a Europa League club, he's going to choose the Champions League club. Do you know what I mean? Or the one that offers them the most money. But lately, Champions League is a massive selling point because all the best players, all the players to be fair, want to be playing in the big games, the big stadiums against the big names. Want to be playing at the Nou Camp against Lamine Yamal, and want to be going to Munich and playing against Harry Kane and all that sort of carry on. So that's where we're at. You know what I mean? The Bernabeu, Bellingham. That's the names the players get excited about, fans get excited about. And Eddie Howe as well. You want to put his wits against the best teams and coaches in Europe. Of course he does. So run about ankle fast, run about ankle quick. Let's hope that's the case. So a big transfer meeting took place last night at St James Park after getting Champions League football. So nobody's taking holidays around here. We're all active, we're all moving fast, and we're all trying to get things done, which we'll love to see. And then they may take a holiday in a couple of weeks' time, which would be lovely. I wouldn't mind one. If anyone wants to, make travel agents a little discount or something, give us a shout. Anyways, what else we got today? Loads of stuff coming out early doors, to be fair, from The Athletic. And they're saying that Callum Wilson is in talks over a new deal. Now, I will straight away say I can't see this happening. I might be wrong. But what we've seen yesterday from Callum Wilson's body language was an emotional goodbye. Kissing the badge, waving, tears in his eyes. That doesn't look like me. He's going to sit down and sign a new deal. However, the new deal has now changed. It is a new deal. It's like Newcastle took the option to not extend his current deal, which these are reporting is £110,000 a week. That's a lot, man, for a player that doesn't play much football. And when he has played this season, hasn't looked great. Now, I love Wilson. Great servant of the club. I just think it's time to move on. Apparently he's got a really interesting podcast with a high performance. Jake Humphrey's out now, so look forward to listening to that one where he really opens up on his mental health. So I appreciate that, and I'm excited to listen to that one, and fair play to him for doing so. And there's no question about Wilson's, attitude, his character, brilliant. It's just his injury record, and he's 33 or something now, so he's not going to get in ahead of Isaac. When he's came on this season, he hasn't done enough. So, it makes sense. Fair play to Wilson. He's literally been one of the best strikers at Newcastle United Football Club. But it's time to move him on, especially in terms of goals. We know he's right up there with Shiraz and Isaac. We have not triggered the option to extend his current contract that he's on, but we are, however, in talks over a new deal when the club are looking to finalise a more incentive-based contract. So if it was this sort of incentive-based, which obviously in layman terms is kind of like a pay-as-you-play, or you might get X amount of more money if you score goals or have this many minutes on the pitch, then that wouldn't be the end of the world. I wouldn't be totally against that with European competition, and we know Wilson's a top character around the dressing room. He's in the leadership group. He's got experience. That would be all right, to be fair. If he's happy to be third or fourth choice, we're bringing another striker. We'll get into that in a minute. Then that would be okay. As that second choice striker, having the number 9 shirt, you just can't really rely on him to do that anymore. And I think, obviously, Newcastle are offering this incentive-based contract. I might be pulling at Wilson a little bit where he thinks, do I just stay then? Do I accept this less money, this deal? Or does he look elsewhere? With, Leeds United being heavily linked to him and really interested in signing him. So, will he stay at Newcastle on that new deal? Will he look towards Leeds, a new challenge? Could he even look abroad? He came close to signing for Atletico Madrid a couple of years ago. Could that be an option? Even a Saudi sunset, a bit of an American dream, whatever. I'm sure there's plenty of options for Wilson. So I think he'll be looking at that. Maybe he'll just think, maybe the new challenge is the right way. Probably get more money there. Better deal, better contract and stuff, better stability maybe. So we'll see. But yeah, the Athletic are reporting that we are trying to keep Wilson to that extent on a new incentive-based deal. Let me know what you think in the comments below. On strikers, the Athletic are also reporting that Alexander Rezak is set to stay at the Magpies this summer. That's thanks to Champions League football being secured. That does now give Alexander Rezak no reason to move. He's very, very happy here, and especially now that he can be playing in those massive games against the biggest teams across Europe, he sees no reason to leave Newcastle United Football Club, which is fantastic to hear. And obviously, unless a gigantic, ridiculous offer came in, as I've said all along, that'll be the case. Isaac will stay, and the Athletic are reporting that there now as well. So fantastic news for him. Be interesting to see what happens with Isaac over the summer, though. Again, I think you could see yesterday, as we've been seeing for a while, he's clearly injured. He's been struggling with that groin issue. He probably needs a minor operation of the sort, or a lot of rest over the summer. So hopefully he comes back fitter and stronger and firing next season, because his numbers this year have still been remarkable, but he just hasn't been up to speed, has he, for a while now, since the cup final and maybe even before that. So interesting to see what develops there with Isaac, but he is set to stay at the Toon, which we obviously love to hear. And then on the last thing on strikers is that there is reports coming out that Liam Delap's representatives are in Newcastle today discussing a move to the club. So Delap's agent and that are meant to be in Newcastle on a bank holiday Monday. I find that a bit hard to believe, but that's all the reports. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. These bank holidays don't apply to everyone, right? You've got to get the work done. I think a lot of people now are trying to get things done at the end of the season in this little mini transfer window before the Club World Cup, and then people are probably going to take a break between your mid-Junes. But after now, it's still so busy and there's still so much happening, even though the season is over. These representatives firing out a deal with the Newcastle Chiefs and in talks, and I'm sure he'll be in talks, as it's being reported, with many other clubs. So maybe they're on a little UK tour. You know, they're starting up at the top of Newcastle, they might work their way down to Manchester, go to Old Trafford and think, fuck this shit, I want to dump this is now. Leave there. Might go down to London to Chelsea. You know, he's linked with a whole host of clubs. He's got a 30 million release clause. It's a bargain for a player that's got 12 goals in Ipswich's, relegation season. So fair play to him. I'm not sure if he scored yesterday, to be fair. He might even got more than that now. But, he has been very, very good for Ipswich. A lot of people are looking at him. He's on the verge of an England call-up. So Newcastle apparently in talks with him and his agents today, with them being in the Toon. So that's an interesting one. I've just seen some of them break there about Ben Jacobs saying Man United are holding talks with Brian Mbeumo. Brentford value him at around 50 million. This is what Eddie Howe has just been alluding to in the press conference yesterday. What I've just been saying about his quotes before, about acting fast or you miss out on targets. This could be the case again. I mean, surely Mbeumo wouldn't go to Man United. I know it's Man U, they're the big name. They just finished bloody 15th or whatever it was. They didn't even win the cup final. They've got no European football next season. I mean, Champions League, they haven't even got Conference League. Might be a good thing for them, to be fair. But, what a rebuild job there. I know Cunha signed for them. It's just the money in it. It's just the money in the history. It's crazy that they're still carrying on. But surely, if we moved in at the same time, you would pick Newcastle over Man United. I'm not just saying that with black and white glasses on, but I genuinely believe it. We've got the better players, we've got the better manager, we've got the better fans, we've got the better stadium. We're in the Champions League, we've just won a cup. Everything points to us, We've got to act faster before that sort of thing happens. And 50 million from Mbeumo is a brilliant deal, by the way. I think that's actually undervalued. I really do, with the numbers he's put on the board for Brentford from the right wing, for a team that's bottom half. Serious player. Serious. So we need to act fast on that. There's more people talking about, Liam Delap's reps being in Newcastle today for a round of talks. So what I'm saying, that would be Delap. If you could bring Delap into battle with Isak, maybe even play together at times, learn off Isak, grow at the club, quality saying that would be Liam Delap. Really, really strong intent being put out by Newcastle if we signed Delap, because it would show we are serious about squad depth as well. Being able to rotate them two, I think would have some of the best strikers in the league. So it would be a serious shout that to bring Delap to the Toon. I think that'll do for now, people, on this bank holiday Monday. Hope you're having a good one and enjoyed the video. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the Magpie Channel TV. Let us know your thoughts below. I've actually got a really great video as well dropping tonight with Steve Watson, the ex-Mag, the entertainer. So we'll be doing a podcast with him tonight. So make sure you stay tuned for that one. Thanks again for watching. See you later.